Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Rolando, and we're on episode 470. That's 470.
Yeah, 470 episodes. And today we're in spooky season, right? This is October.
Spooky season.
This is spooky season. It's a little scary out there. You know, you gotta be careful. There's ghouls and goblins, and we're gonna be talking about one of the nightmares of every reseller, right? One of the things that can keep you up at night, make you terrified, and that is getting banned off of one of your platforms, right? One of the platforms you're making money. What happens if the rug gets pulled from you? You're banned from that platform. You get banned from eBay or from Amazon or from whatnot, whatever it is that you're selling on. You can't sell there anymore. There goes your store. What do you do with your inventory? What do you banning, man? It's scary. It's something that nobody wants to consider actually happening to them. So today we're going to be talking about some instances of people being banned and the reality of it, like what it takes to be banned and how to make sure that you never have to actually face that nightmare.
And the reason this came up was, I don't know if you guys are on like TikTok or social media, but Cool Kicks, the sneaker store down in LA, it's a pretty big deal. It's like all the influencers go there, like all those YouTube personalities, like, you know, I Show Speed and I don't know who else, all these guys, like that. This is what they get, the free shoes. Even I think like even Pawn Stars back in the day, Rick Harrison and all those guys got even shoes from there. Like they've been around for a long time, right? And they're huge on Whatnot, and they would have like crazy auctions on Whatnot, like, you know, selling like $200-300 shoes, Panda Dunks for like starting at $1. And you know, you look at these places and you're like, man, like how do they get this inventory for so cheap? Like how do they make these sales, right? Now, part of it is, you know, and Mike and I have talked about this, there is a certain part that like when you gain a following, you're able to like make special deals or people bring stuff your way. But they got banned on Whatnot. But not only did they get banned on Whatnot, I don't know if you guys caught the story, but during a live stream, a Whatnot live stream, the cops showed up and the owner, yes, that's exactly what happened.
You hear that, Orlando? I think they're coming for us.
No, I'm good.
I'm good. Next?
If they want to go get my old clothes and old toys, go for it. But what ended up happening is the guy thought he was getting swatted. You know how people call the police, whatever it is, the situation. It's a pretty serious incident. No, he wasn't getting swatted. He was getting arrested. So what ended up happening is during the live stream, it ended and the LAPD showed up, raided Cool Kicks over and then raided their warehouse, and their co-founder, Adil Shams, was detained, later released. But they said that they found 2,100 pairs of Nike sneakers and 150 boxes of apparel worth about $500,000 believed to be stolen merchandise. Then on top of that, there's a huge.
You gotta wonder. I mean, I don't know anything about this case. I haven't followed these guys at all. But you gotta wonder, like, I thought we were being swatted. Like, I feel like if you've got hot merchandise, like you gotta know it's coming, right? Like, I'm not accusing this person of knowing, because maybe they are. I don't know. It's all
alleged.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know the story at all, but I'm just saying, like, if hypothetically speaking, I was running a big operation, and hypothetically speaking, part of that operation included $500,000 worth of stolen goods. Even if I wasn't the one that hypothetically stole those hypothetically stolen goods, I feel like I would know. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you would kind of be like, when if you had a bunch of cops show up, you'd be like, I know why they're here. You know?
Yeah, no, I agreed. But like when you're caught in the like, this is what I've learned, and I feel like we're going to teach a moral lesson here, but when you're deep into stuff, not saying this is the case, it's all alleged, but when you're deep into things, you get to a place where like you think you're untouchable, right? Like you're not going to get caught, like you're above it, like you're golden, like you don't think that way, right? And I think many of us in our lives can think of times when we got busted doing something, and that was because our pride, and we were like, yeah, I got away with it for so long, like nothing's gonna ever happen, right? Even if the cops show up in my store, right, there's no fear. And I think that's what happened during this live stream, because when you watch it, the guy like completely was like, oh man, am I getting swatted? Like had no fear of getting arrested, had no fear of any of that. But that's a whole another discussion for another podcast. And Mike and I want to go deep into discussions like that. But here's what's interesting. Cool Kicks denied knowingly handling stolen goods. They claimed every item was bought in good faith and that none of it was counterfeit. The raid happened live on camera, and the stream suddenly cut off, prompting speculation that the company had been swatted. So here's the thing. Like this,
I mean, that would make
this,
for entertaining live stream, right? Like, was this a Whatnot stream or is just like some other kind of live stream?
No, it was Whatnot. It was Whatnot.
Okay. Whatnot. Yeah. I mean, that I feel like that'd be pretty interesting to watch. Like, is this really happening right now? And you just hope that they don't turn it off like anytime soon. You can just keep watching what's going on. I can only imagine what the comment section was like while that was happening.
I know. What's the chat? What's going on in the chat? But
What's up, chat?
What's up, chat? But here's the deal. The key phrase is the owner believed he bought everything in good faith. Right? So
Which is very possible.
Which is very possible.
I mean, that could happen to us, right? Like, I mean, we're not dealing with millions of dollars worth of inventory, or even half of that. But you can go to a garage sale and buy some stuff thinking like, hey, I just got a good connection with this person who's got, these shoes. They worked at this warehouse. So they've got these, whatever. And it could be stolen goods and you have no idea, right? So like you could certainly accidentally buy stolen merchandise. Like that for sure happens.
No, agreed. But I would think in the end, like when you're buying at that volume, like you have to have some kind of paperwork, right? There has to be some kind of invoice, right? You would think. Like I understand at a garage sale, right? But at a garage sale, I've never bought like not even $10,000 worth of sneakers. I have bought before like $1,000 pairs of shoes, not $1,000 pair of shoes, but thousands of dollars worth of shoes. I've bought tons of video games before. Like, is it possible that you're buying stolen stuff? Yeah, but chances at a garage sale or at a thrift store are pretty slim to none because they're going to want to get top dollar for it. Here in San Francisco, they just raided like a theft ring for $600,000 of stolen construction equipment. And here's what's crazy. These guys had real hardware stores, like think of like Ace Hardware, and they just sold the stuff that they sold. No, they sold the stuff that they stole in the hardware store like it was a regular store. Right. So you're going to sell it where you can fence it for top dollar. You're not going to sell it at a garage sale. You're not going to go to the thrift store. Like back in the early 2000s when I was working at Target, there was a theft ring at my Target, 1.7 million. And everything was being sold on eBay or at wherever they can move it locally, like Craigslist and so on for better money. Now, when you sell, not that I know how to sell selling goods, but I watched the movie Heat and some other stuff a few times, right? You only get like 30 to 40% on the dollar. You don't get like the full.
You're an expert, right? You've seen. I've seen some movies. I know how this goes down. Yeah. I know a lot about fencing. When I use the term fencing, like I'm going to fence this material, it's because I've done more than watch a crime show. But I will say, when I grew up, when I was growing up, like when I was a teenager, people would sell stuff that was stolen all the time, and it never would be top dollar, right? It would be like half off, right? Because they have to move this stuff, right? So the reason I bring all this up is that I'm not. It's all alleged, but when you're dealing with that amount of inventory, when you're spending that much money, why wouldn't you like have receipts? Why wouldn't you have invoices? Why wouldn't you have like everything possible, right? And so, but again, big operations can fake that stuff too, right? Like it's not that hard to create a fake invoice, and I can be like, if I'm the one, like if they weren't the ones actually like fencing the stuff, they were actually purchasing it from somebody in good faith. That other person could have created some invoices and had a fake business. I mean, like it is really not that hard to create a website and to create a, you know what I mean? Like you can make stuff look so real nowadays.
Have you watched Sora lately? Sorry, on a side note, have you seen?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the AI stuff. It's crazy. And so yeah, you definitely
we need to do a video. We need to do a Sora video.
Yeah, that would be. I don't know about necessarily just Sora, but yeah, just AI in general. The like AI videos and things.
Scary, right?
We should do an episode. We should try and come up with an episode where it's actually all just AI that's doing it. Like we have to obviously put it in, but go ahead.
Can we go on a side quest here? So
let's hear it.
What are the chances that in the next year there will be fake reselling influencers using AI about their finds?
Oh, for sure, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's really easy, right?
It's easy to do, for sure.
I mean, I've been watching like MLK boxing, JFK. I've been watching the Founding Fathers wrestling. I mean, like crazy stuff, and that's like
Orlando, I don't want to know. I don't want to know what your For You page is, man. That's some wild stuff there.
It was wild stuff, but it looked so real. That was crazy about it.
Yeah. So I mean, we should definitely have an episode kind of digging into that, maybe even experimenting a little bit, just to kind of show people what's out there. Because one of the things we want to do is document our journey, but also help our listeners out, right? Like, so we talk a lot. We haven't been very big on like naming names of like, hey, this person on TikTok is a total scam, I think there's a lot of there's a market for that, right? Like if for instance, I know you've been getting into fitness more, Orlando. I do fitness like stuff. I watch YouTube videos on fitness things, and like some of the most popular stuff are like the natty or not. And it's like people saying like this person says they're natural, but they're not, and I can prove they're on drugs. And so like that kind of stuff is very clickbaity. But we could easily do something like that with the podcast too, or we're going into like, hey, these seem to be fake resellers, right? Like, and here's how we know that. But it's even scarier, like you said, when it could be AI that you're dealing with. But again, it's not necessarily a bad thing if it's giving good information. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily be like fake finds. Like that would be disingenuous. But like if you had like somebody who's like doesn't want their face to be seen, but they want to kind of write up some content and have like an AI avatar go through and explain some stuff. And like, I think there's a tool for that. It could be used for that in a way that's actually beneficial for the community. So I'm not completely against it, but kind of going back to this idea of this specific crackdown and stolen goods, it is slightly unrelated, but we've definitely touched on this before on the podcast, as far as when you're dealing with a race to the bottom or trying to have a competitive price on eBay, like this kind of stuff hurts all of us as resellers. When you're dealing with people who are going into a store and picking up stuff, finding some way of whether they're taking it off of a boat coming in from China, or they're actually going into their local Walmart or Home Depot and stealing the stuff off the shelves, like however they're attaining the inventory, when all of a sudden the market is flooded with stolen merchandise, like you said, they're going to sell that at a price because they want to move it quickly. They want to get it out of their hands because they're hot, right? Like that's why they say like this is hot merchandise. Like they want it gone, so that way they have the cash and then they can't be busted anymore. So when you're dealing with that, you got to be careful when you're dealing with your competitors. Even when you see those really low prices, you can't always be discouraged and thinking like, oh, I must be doing something wrong, or I don't know how to source this stuff. Sometimes it's just because you're dealing with people who are moving stolen merchandise. And so that's a crazy story from this specific one, them getting busted live stream. I don't think it gets crazier than that. But man, what a trip. So that's one way to get banned for sure, is be selling some stolen merchandise. I don't think you're going to be in trouble if you accidentally bought a pair of stolen sunglasses or shoes at a garage sale and it comes to find out that like you had it, like especially if it's like a serialized item, right? Like, hey, I bought this PlayStation at a garage sale, and then you get home and next thing you know you sell it and it was on like a stolen item list or something. I think you're going to be fine, especially if you've a consistent eBay reseller. I don't think this would be a concern for the average person unless you're doing something shady and whether or not you are.
Yeah, and that's why I tell people, like, being concerned about being banned, it should be like one of the last things. But we'll talk about that more. So the other bigger one, right? This was 3-4 years ago. PWCC, which is now I think Fanatics Collect. I think, and let me take a look. But it was a card company that was selling. Yeah, it's Fanatics Collect. And they ended up getting banned on eBay. A huge company, right? Multi-million-dollar. Like this wasn't like a small operation, but for shill bidding, right? Shill bidding. Mike, do you remember what shill bidding is? We don't talk about that much these days.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason we don't talk about shill bidding very often, I don't feel like we don't do auctions as much. I think eBay's kind of moved away from the deal of auctions. But I remember even worrying about this when I first started using eBay as a customer, right? Just buying items off of eBay. Is the shill bidding is when, hey, here's this item. Oh, I put a $10 bid. Oh, looks like I'm going to win it. Oh, now somebody put in an $11 bid. So now I got to go up to 12. And then you got this back and forth with another person or maybe several other people. Well, if it turns out that one of those other people isn't actually a legitimate buyer, but it's somebody who's like, hey, I don't want this person to accidentally get my item for $10. It looks like it's going to sell for $10. I need to keep upping this price. And so they up the price. It's like a fake bid. And those fake bids are used to draw that price up. And, in our current like climate, when you're dealing with things like social media, everybody at this point, I think, should be familiar with like bots and how there's like entire bot farms, and you can use, if people pay money, even on YouTube, like we haven't broken the 10,000 mark yet. And when we first were starting on YouTube, like there were all kinds of ads of people trying to push us like, hey, we can get you like 100,000 followers. We can get you 10,000 followers for X amount. And sometimes those are real people they're paying, but sometimes it's like they're using these bot accounts in order to get subscribers. And that's how some people, you know, use social media is they pay for bot farms. There's places where they've got literally just hundreds of cell phones set up. And so it wouldn't be hard to have some kind of an organized shill bidding scheme for sure.
And again, the reason I bring up this story is because, again, this is something major that was done, right, to get banned. I mean, they lost 71,000 listings when they got banned on eBay. Okay, that's a ton. But again, like it takes a lot. Like it takes a lot, right? It takes you selling stolen goods that you can't verify. It takes you doing some shill bidding, right? And shill bidding is major operation, not major, but I do remember in the early days of eBay back in college, back in, I don't know, what was 1998, something like that. I remember there were people in college that I knew that did shill bidding, but back then no one thought it was bad. It was just like, hey, can you bid on this for me to help me get a better price?
And let's make this personal, like Orlando, like remember that train lantern that you sold, right? And you were super concerned that you sold that train lantern for like way under price.
Yes,
I think that was a buy it now. That wasn't an auction. But imagine you were in that situation. You had it up on auction. You put it up for $100 starting bid. But then after you've done some more research, you realize like this is like a $5,000 lantern, right? It's worth a lot. And it's getting close to the end. And this person's about ready to snag it for $100. Right. Like I could see the temptation for somebody to say, like, imagine again, this hypothetical situation for you to call me up and say, hey, Mike, do me a favor, outbid this guy. And then we'll just cancel the order because I need to cancel this item. Right. Like I cannot sell it for this cheap, essentially. But that would be like a, hey, I'm trying to save my butt here, not wanting to sell an item as opposed to, all right, Mike, every single one of my items, you're going to keep bidding up by 50 cents or $1 or whatever until we push these people up to their max. Like that's a very different. So I think there are people who probably engage in shill bidding, not to say that it's justified or it's right, but not at a level that's probably as nefarious as those who like have a whole operation running where they're trying to get every one of their listings pushed up higher.
Yeah, no, agreed. But it's like, why? Like, what is, you know?
Well, you know why? It's money.
I know, but it's like, listen, it's if you have a good item, you don't need to do that. Like, not at all, right?
But there's also that psychology aspect too, right? Like we talk about, think of all the different things we do to not manipulate officially, but essentially to try and manipulate the buyers, whether it's, hey, instead of listing this for $10, I'm going to list it for $9.99. Instead of doing, you know, whatever for shipping, I'm going to offer free shipping. I'm going to do like, there's different things that you can do. Sometimes I want to be, remember we used to have the mindset of like, I'll be a slightly higher price because people see a higher price and they automatically assume higher price means better quality, right? So there are certain things that we do because we understand the psychology to an extent, not that we're experts, but we to some extent understand the psychology of shoppers, like how they buy. Well, if you're the only person bidding on an item and you're going to win it, sure, it must only be worth $10. But if you've got 2 or 3 people who are competing against you, even if you're like the max I want to pay on this is $10, in your mind, you've already got it for $10. Then an $11 bid comes in and you're like, oh man, okay, $12 is just a little bit more than I was going to spend. So you put in a $12 bid. Now it's up to 15. And you're like, man, I've already won this thing for 12. What's another $3? And so that psychology aspect of like pushing people to pay more than they would. So it could still be a good item that's worth money. But sometimes this could also be not just to manipulate to get more money, but to manipulate like that interest in an item. Because if I think more people are interested in it than just me, I'm more willing to get it, right? Psychologically, that's just how we are. Like if there's a lot of interest for something, that's that mimetic theory. If other people want this, I must be onto something.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get it.
Again, and not encouraging shill bidding at all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to understand like they obviously are trying to make more money. But again, it's probably more than just the money aspect. There's the like, this is going to drive more attention to our items because look at how much attention each of our items are getting. So the people who are there are even more interested than they would have been.
Yeah, true. All right. So we got one more we're going to talk about here in a moment. And then we're going to get to our hustles of the week and we're going to talk about how to avoid being banned. But hey, my taxes are done. Well, they're being finalized right now. And they'll be submitted on time this year, Mike, which isn't fantastic.
You mean on time next year?
on time this year, because last year, even with the extension, I still was late. So this year I'm not even gonna be late. But here's the deal. You know why? Because my reseller genie. I went to my reseller genie and I said, you know what? I like to know my cost of goods sold. I like to know my shipping. I like to know all this. And it just printed out that nice report and I gave it to my tax person. I had a Schedule C, had all these other items, smooth and streamlined. So if you're stressing about bookkeeping for your reselling business, use my reseller genie. We have a code, Pure Hustle. It'll give you 15% off the first month. Again, our code Pure Hustle will give you 15% off the first month. And you will be able to sleep easy knowing that my reseller genie got you. You do not have to worry about, like getting all those numbers put together, trying to figure all that out. Just go to my reseller genie. It's a great tool. I just used it. It made my life so much easier. So check out my reseller genie. Hey, by the way, not that this is not advertising. We don't work for Mile IQ, but I got to tell you, like, this is a side note. If you have not been using some kind of mileage app, please do. It's going to make your life easier. Like, I get my mileage done right away. I remember the years when I didn't have a mileage app and I would spend day after day, like, trying to track everything on paper or whatever. Don't do that. Go get an app. Figure it out. All right. So this next one, we're not going to throw any names out there. But a couple of years ago, there was, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you know what I'm talking about, Mike? There was actually a good friend of the podcast who ended up getting banned on eBay. Right? Ended up getting banned because they ended up not being able to provide invoices for all their high-end shoes, right? According to what the community was saying, they sold about like 1.8 million, right? They had like some super nice like Nike shoes and other kinds of shoes. And eBay just dropped the hammer on them. They're like, how do you know these aren't legit? How do you know these aren't real? And I remember all the speculation that happened after that. I remember where this reseller sold from, there was a bunch of shoe stores that were hit by robbers and all this, and people are like, oh, that's what it must have been. We don't know. I don't know the whole story. And I'm not here trying to cast what the story was. But what did happen, and this is reality, is this person did get permanently banned from eBay. Even though this person had a ton of clout, even though this person had thousands and thousands of followers, even though this person was huge in the reselling space, I would say very big, very influential, and even still very influential in the reselling space. But what ended up hurting them? Well, it's the same thing as Cool Kicks, right? Because even though you may have influence, even though you're well known, eBay doesn't care. Like, eBay wants to protect its own business, right? That's the problem I think Whatnot has right now. Whatnot is still crazy. Like, it's wow. Like, you go on some of these streams. Number one, I have been on some of these streams and like out of nowhere, people start cussing up a storm or there's inappropriate stuff. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm here to buy stuff.
It's a libertarian's playground, right? Like, there's really no rules there. It's the Wild West for sure, Whatnot. And in some ways it's like, hey, let it be that. I mean, it's kind of its own thing. I'm not a huge fan of the live selling thing. I know we've got some people on the podcast that
Gary V.
Yeah. Well, no, we've got some people. Yeah, there's Gary V, but there's other people. There's like K-Way Shop, right? Like, he's really, really good on Whatnot. Like, he's killing it on Whatnot. So there's definitely a place for it. I definitely think that. I'm not saying it's awful. I just am saying, for me, it's not my cup of tea. I've tried the Whatnot thing a handful of times. But I do think, let there be a place like that. Like, remember when the internet first came out and it was kind of like, nobody understood how it all worked yet. So kind of anything went, and you had chat rooms and this and that. And then you get regulations and rules and things get kind of more like corporatized. And you know what, like, let Whatnot be Whatnot. Like, it is kind of the Wild West. And if it is what it is, but yeah, I think when you're looking at something like eBay and you're looking at something like Amazon, they absolutely have to protect their reputation. They have to protect their perception, from, I guess that is a reputation, but like, what are customers going to think about this platform? And there's also going to be more legal issues. The bigger the company gets, the more employees. Like, I can't imagine, I'd have to look it up, but I can't imagine Whatnot employs nearly the number of people that a company like eBay does. And I think it's after you have 500 employees, then all of a sudden the different federal regulations come in that just aren't there when you've got 30, 40 people running your business. So I think that could be part of it too.
Yeah, no, agreed. But this reselling influencer couldn't even appeal, right? Couldn't do anything about it, right? And they went down the Whatnot route, and now they're on Whatnot, and they're being very successful. Except I did hear they just got banned again, but this was for other reasons. I don't know. Actually, I didn't hear. I actually saw their video that they were talking about why they got banned. So, but again, we're going to talk about this in a moment. We're going to get to our hustles of the week here in a little bit. But I want you guys to understand, like, influence does not equal immunity, right? Even if you're popular, even if you have a following, like, eBay will do what it can to protect his business, right? And again, this is why they have the authenticity verification, right? Because even though I get annoyed by it, because I've had two things that I knew were legitimate been turned away, in the end, it gives greater trust to the buyer. And so it helps your business in the long run. So the kind of like, the lesson to take away from all this is, number one, make sure you know who you're buying from, right? That's key. Now, you can't always know, right? I mean, I've had some buys, like, I will tell you, remember that huge Hot Wheel haul and that huge Disney haul that I had?
Yeah.
There was a part of me that was like, what if this wasn't their storage lockers? Right? What if they just had access to it and they just sold it and they like left the state? Right? Yeah, then I would have.
I mean, that's one of the nice things, though. Like, I don't record as much as I used to when I'm at places. Sometimes when I go to garage sales, I'll still wear like the little action camera, but you're constantly recording on your phone. At least you were at that point in time, right?
At that time I was, yeah.
So even if it was just like, hey, because you want to record what you're picking up, throw some things on Insta Reels. I mean, that's protection, right? Like, if it came down to it and you were ever
true. Yeah.
If someone were to say like, hey, why did you do this? Like, look, I actually have this entire interaction or good chunks of this interaction with the people who sold it to me, how much they sold it to me for. It's all recorded. It's all right here.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. But I've had those moments, right? Like, you're like, I mean, I think you had some local deals that kind of, you're like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to deal with this person anymore.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, it was fishy enough. Like, I can sleep with a clean conscience knowing like, hey, I didn't do anything wrong. This was just a normal purchase for me, but there was enough fishy things where like, you know what? I don't want to pursue this, because if something were to come up and then I were to find out later that it was, hot merchandise, I'd feel terrible. I wouldn't participate in it. And so it was a one and done transaction for me. And it was just, could have been language barriers with the communication with this guy, but it just seemed off to me. So yeah, you can tell, right? Like, if you're dealing with some people, if you're doing a Facebook marketplace meetup for somebody, if something feels off and it just doesn't feel right, like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it for your own safety, like physically. Like, if you're in a position where it's like, hey, this is a really good deal, but this person that I'm interacting with just doesn't seem, quite right. Something feels off to me. They want me to come into their house. They want me to, and I don't feel comfortable in this situation. Even if you're walking away from $500 profit, $1,000 profit, walk away, right? It's not worth your safety in those situations. And if you're getting a feeling of like, hey, this doesn't seem like it's legitimate, like they have way too much of this inventory and they don't have a good reason for why they have this stuff, then yeah, again, it's not worth putting yourself in a position where you could be legally responsible or physically like in a bad position.
No, I agree.
And usually you can tell, right? Like, I mean, there's sometimes there's like, I mean, we've all seen the videos. Like, I mean, I just watched one the other day that was terrifying. Like, a guy was like shot and killed, or I don't know if he was killed, but he was definitely shot doing a Facebook marketplace meetup for a PS5.
Oh man.
Right. Like, I think he had it and was trying to sell it to some people, and it was like two people and they shot him and took it. Right. And it was recorded on his like car dash cam. And so, yeah, I mean, you always got to be careful. You got to know what you're doing. That's why things like meeting up at a very public place. I like banks. Banks are a good place because they've got tons of cameras. I've even had people like, I bought stuff where people are like, I'll meet you at the police station parking lot. And I'm like, okay, like if that's what you want to do, but I understand the reasoning, right? Like, so yeah, never put yourself in those kinds of situations. Yeah, be careful for sure.
It's just wild. All right. Hey, it is time for us to talk about our hustle of the week.
Come on, hustlers. It's the freaking hustle of the week. Hustle of the week. All right, here. Our first one comes from Pike from the Discords. This is a repeat hustle of the week person.
Just last time. but it was so good. I thought I'd do it again.
Let's do it again. I had 2 goals for September. I wanted to get a good scrapyard sale. Is that like a garage sale? Scrapyard sale. And I wanted to get a good couch sale. On my 3rd try, I got a good couch sale. Picked it up for free. Sold for $600. Holy smoke. So from free to 600. Oh, scrapyard, like the junkyard. Gotcha. Maybe $75 between gas and supplies to restore it. Sold it in under 48 hours from posting with a line of people interested. Man, furniture is one of those things I need to look into a little bit more. So yeah, especially when you go from free. Dude, my neighbor, I'm not gonna say anything mean. I don't know the guy, but again, one of those situations where I don't interact with my neighbor, my kids. I don't let my kids interact with my neighbor. I'm a little off. Okay. Something's not there. But the other day he had Salvation Army trucks at his house, just loading like tons of beautiful, like vintage, like Victorian looking furniture, just taking it to the Salvation Army. And part of me was like, man, I wish I had a better connection with the guy, but also I know that's impossible just because of the way this individual is. But yeah, just think like all that stuff was free, probably thousands and thousands of dollars worth of furniture just given away. So people are giving away good furniture all the time. If you know what you're looking for, especially like Pike here says, did a little bit of restoration. If you know how to kind of mend some things, you got to have space for furniture. But when you're looking from free to $600, if you just flipped one piece of furniture like this every month on top of maybe a handful of garage sale sales, you're doing pretty good.
No, agreed. But again, it's one of those things where it's like furniture, like you got to, I would say there's stuff out there that makes it easy. Like you don't have to know what you're doing because, you know, like leather restoration. Like if we had the ability to show the picture right now, it was a leather couch. And I'm sure he bought like some leather restoration stuff, which is easy to find. Like you get on Amazon, you get like the next day and you could restore a couch, right? You could restore there's so many things that you can restore. So to me, it's like, if you have the space, like you should do it. Like that's the key thing. And right now, actually, these 2 guys, I know I mentioned them before that they have a thrift shop in the city, not like thrift, like a thrift store, but like the one that curates, like the ones that like, you know, the high end rich folks go to and buy, like they pay like obscene amounts of money for old clothes. Like he has one of those and I'm like, all right, like, and now he has furniture. So now I got a place where I can move my furniture. Like if I have furniture to move, right? So that's your 2 options, right? Number 1 is either you have space and you're willing to wait and do those local deals, or you find someone that you can offload stuff or consign it. Like it's worth it to you. All right. Nice work there, Pike from the Discord. All right. Next hustle of the week comes from CNR Hobby from the Discord. I kind of like this one because especially when I moved, I remember when I was finally like unpacking, I would find stuff and I'm like, you know, I don't even need this anymore. I should just throw it on eBay and like I would sell it, right? Something that was like personally mine, I ended up selling for good money just because some years had passed. And so here, C&R Hobby Home says, my wife was cleaning out the cupboards. Is it cupboards or is it cupboards, Mike, the English teacher?
Wait, what
is it cupboards? Is it cupboards or is why is it pronounced cupboards? I just want to know. No. Why isn't it cupboards? That's all I want to know.
Because that's weird. Nobody says that. I've never heard anybody in my life say cupboards.
Oh, I always say cupboards, but phonetically it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, well, English is a language made up of like 6 different languages joined together. It's beautiful.
Just checking. All right. So went through the cupboards, was getting rid of some of the kitchen stuff. Naturally went through and scanned some of the items stated for the thrift. You know you're a reseller, right? When you're just like, instead of like, wait a second, let's research this and see how much it's worth. Found a mixing bowl that had good comps on eBay, so I listed it on the higher side. Within 48 hours, I got an offer for $41 and accepted it. It was a vintage Texas ware mixing bowl with a splatter pattern. So you never know, right? You never know. I do struggle. Like I do struggle donating stuff. But I will tell you, like, if you ever hear anybody donating, it never hurts to go like, hey, what are you donating? Can I take a look? Can I run it? Maybe see what it's worth? Like, you never know what you'll come across, right? And now they have a free Chili's meal or they have whatever, $41 just because they decided to do a little bit of extra work, look it up on their phone and ended up listing it, right? So you never know what you find. That's why I call that one a hustle of the week. All right. What's the next one here, Mike?
Cool. Before we get to our next one here, I looked up the etymology of the word cupboard. And
Okay.
it is pronounced cupboard. That is the phonetic way of pronouncing
Yes.
cupboard. However, it seems like the most obvious etymology, because you're right, it's got the word cup, and the word board comes from the Middle English term, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but board, which literally combines the word cup and board, because it was a board that you'd put your cups on originally. So there we go. Cupboard is correct.
My life is altered forever.
But cupboard was the two words combined together. All right. Maybe we should have an etymology section of the podcast every time.
Who would listen to that? Who would listen to that? No one would listen to that.
Dude, have you heard of the podcast Grammar Girl? It is way bigger than we are.
What is
Oh,
that?
yeah, man. It's huge. She's got books and everything. Grammar Girl's big. So like, people are interested in words and phrases and where they come from.
That would be equivalent of us like doing a book review on the what is it? White and Strunk, the etiquette of grammar or something. I forget what it's called, but it's a book. Like if you go to college, everybody's like, you should read this book. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we should do all kinds of stuff, man. I like our listeners, they're down for it, man. We got smart listeners. They'd be into hearing us talking about classical literature or anything, man. It'd be good. All right,
Elements of Style. Elements of Style. If you want to learn to be a better writer, you should pick up the Elements of Style. It's a great book. Okay, go ahead.
All right, our next one, Suck It Up Buttercup from the Discord says, I picked up this tree topper for $5 at an estate sale today and sold comp show it going for $100 or more. So it was sold a Christopher Radko tree topper, French Regency, for $199 plus shipping. Holy smokes. That's from a tree topper, $5 to $199. Now that is a sale right there.
You can't beat that. And it's funny because I'm like, I in the Discord, I'm like, hey, so did you float the box? She's like, of course I floated the box. Right. So whenever you're selling anything fragile, if you're a new listener, you got to float the box. Float the box just means you pack it in a box, and then in the next box you put padding paper or whatever, and you put it in that box like it's floating in the box.
Maybe we should make and I'm trademarking these, so nobody can take these, but maybe we should make some like Pure Hustle podcast shirts that are for spooky season, and one could be like the Franken box, and it's like a Frankenstein but a box. And then you could have like,
I know where you're going with this.
Float the box, and it could be like a ghost box, right? Hey, that's PHP merch coming. Let us know below. Would you rock a Franken box shirt or a float the box like Casper the Friendly Floating Box?
Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, Mike. On that note, hey, before we move on to our hustle of the week, in case you ever want to watch some of our shenanigans, we do have some old stuff in our Insta still. If you want to follow us on social media, we are Pure Hustle Podcast on Instagram and Facebook and other social media, except we are Pure Hustle Cast on Twitter, or known as X today. Also, you can shoot us an email at any time with questions or hustle of the week. We read hustle of the week from Gmail all the time. You can just email us at purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. That's purehustlepodcast@gmail.com. If you're watching our YouTube, thank you. Make sure to hit that subscribe. But if you're listening and you haven't come on over. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and hit that bell notification. And as always, grateful for all the iTunes reviews. We are the largest eBay reselling podcast out there, and we're also the most rated. It's because of all of you. So if you haven't yet left a review, let people know why. 5 stars, and come on over to iTunes and please help us out. Help us out in the algorithm. And then last of all, you just heard us say all these hustle of the week from our Discord. If you're wondering, like, how do I get part of the Pure Hustle community? Oh my goodness. Did you just say, okay, sure. If you're listening to the podcast, you have to come over at minute 38 or something of our YouTube, and Mike just came up with the Frankenbox shirt.
And imagine that on a t-shirt, and above it, it's like Frankenbox.
Okay, while I'm talking, I want you to do float the box. See if you can get creative with that one.
All right, I'll mess with that. I'll mess with that one while you're doing your hustle of the week.
Okay. But before we get there, if you want more of these shenanigans, come on over, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/Pure Hustle Podcast. That's patreon.com/Pure Hustle Podcast. For $5.55 a month. $5.55 a month. You can't even get coffee at a good coffee shop for $5.55 a month. You can get a McDonald's coffee still, but not most places. And what that does, it allows you to jump on our Discord. You'll get an invite from us and be part of the Pure Hustle community. We have all kinds of resellers in there. We have Amazon people, we have eBay people, we have vintage people, we have new people, we have brand new resellers. We have veteran resellers. We have storage people. We have estate people. We have all kinds of help. So come on over, join our Discord. We'd love to have you there. All right. Here is my hustle of the week. I like this one because I thought it was crazy. So I don't know, 3 years ago, I was at a garage sale and there was somebody that worked for San Diego Chargers at some point in time. And they had like all this gear, San Diego Chargers gear. Like it was like sweatsuits and jackets that said like San Diego Chargers, like equipment or whatever it was. And I paid $100 and I ended up picking up like 10 pairs of pants, like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 like jackets and like all this, like, but it wasn't like official Charger. It was what Chargers would wear like on the sidelines, you know, when they're warming up, whatever. And a lot of these tags had like numbers, right? Which was their jersey numbers. And after I bought it, I'm like, how am I going to sell this? Like, what am I going to do with it? And they were huge, you know, football players, right? So it was like 4XL, 3XL. Well, I already made a ton of money. I didn't think I was going to make a ton of money. I ended up selling the jackets for like 150, 200 a piece. I ended up selling the pants for about 50 to 80. And I made like a good $1,000 from that. So that's part of my hustle of the week. But I recently just sold another pair of pants and the person wanted it overnight. Now, there's 2 ways you can do overnight. And I think I mentioned this last time. You got to be careful. I said, hey, you can PayPal me the difference after. And then eBay started banning my messages. Wouldn't let me even message them. So what I did is I revised the listing. In case you're wondering, make sure you create a template. I think I talked about this the last podcast. And I just put overnight shipping. And sure enough, the person paid $72 to ship. And they paid $72 for the pants, but they paid $18 to ship. And they got it in time. Right. So to me, it's a hustle of the week because I ended up going out and taking a risk on something because I was like, hey, this is unique. It's not starter. It's not anything crazy, but it is something that people can, you know, like have as part of their gear. Say, hey, I got this and this was in the Chargers locker room, whatever it is. There's some provenance to it. So that's why I enjoyed this hustle of the week. Oh, by the way, the pants probably maybe paid like $3 all said and done based on everything I bought in that $100. All right, Mike, do you have an image or do you have a hustle of the week?
No image. I don't have time to really play with that one. But okay. I can mess that later. But so for me, I actually mentioned this in the Discord because the people in the Discord were talking about like, man, has eBay been quiet for you recently? And a lot of people made the comment that, hey, it's probably Prime Day's something to do with this, right? People are shopping on Prime Day, and so they're not on eBay as much. And in the past, I've said that Prime Day maybe helps eBay resellers because when people are spending money, that money keeps flowing. But there definitely is a dip, I feel like, during Prime Day if you're just selling the types of things we sell for the most part. However, right after Prime Day kind of was petering out, sales started coming back through. And so people were saying, hey, I'm starting to get sales again. Mm-hmm. And I had just got a sale right when somebody said like things are picking back up. So I posted it in the Discord. I thought it was pretty decent. But I picked up a pair of over-the-counter hearing aids. And so these are hearing aids that are not prescription hearing aids, but they were expensive. They were like Atom Pro plus something, another 2s, or I don't know. Anyways, sold them for $60. I picked them up for like $4. And so I was pretty excited about that one because that's the type of thing that, you know, it's a nice, decent flip. And it came right as people were saying sales were coming back in. And that's when my sale came in. So I was like, hey, look at that. Like it's happening. So that's why it's my hustle of the week because the timing was great and easy to ship, small little box. So pretty decent.
Very nice. Very nice. So, hey, you never know, right? Look at all the different things from a bowl, right, to Chargers pants to what was the other items on here? We just
tree topper.
The tree topper. The tree topper is my favorite one. Yeah, I'm trying to get to my notes. I was checking out something real quick that I was going to share, but the couch. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different opportunities if you want to pick it up. You know what I just came across as I was looking for my my notes from the podcast. Remember when we went to that Poshmark thing and I was like, I'm not going to dress up and I wear sandals and whatever and shorts. What was I doing, man?
What were we doing, man? What were we doing? I tried to tell you and you were like, nobody will ever tell me what to do.
I could have picked up like my future wife if I dressed up.
You could have, man.
Thing, you know, who knows? Another reseller. We would have bonded instantly. Oh, well.
It would have been great. It would have been a match made in heaven and
in reselling heaven.
And you went with sandals.
And I went
it's all good, man. It's all good, man. It's all good. All right. So now we're going to be moving into our part of our show where we're going to talk about the things you need to do to make sure you don't get banned. And we'll kind of fly through these because we've touched on some of them already. But one of the main things is make sure you're keeping receipts and invoices, whether that's you got digital receipts, whether you're keeping track like Orlando does a lot with recording what you're picking up, what place you picked it up. What I've done in the past, I just keep a log of all of the garage sales that I go to because when I plan my routes out, I mean, sometimes it doesn't work because you stop at a random garage sale on a weekend. But when I have like a big day where, hey, I'm going out and I'm going to do some shopping, I plan my route out. And then as I buy things, I just kind of mark that on my sheet. So I just have a running sheet of the garage sales, what I picked up at them. So something like that could be useful. If you're going to thrift stores and estate sales, they usually write you receipts. Just find a place to keep those things. You got to kind of track your cost of goods anyways. That's just an easy way of doing it. But especially if you're doing big sales, like if you're like, hey, I've got this connection now and they're going to sell me 1,000, thingamabobs every month and I'm going to be flipping these, make sure you've got some kind of documentation of who they are, what you're paying for them. It's a simple thing to do, but it can really cover you if you come into a situation where next thing you know, you're being raided by the police.
That's so scary. All right. And then the other one is make sure you can verify your source. Like I am a big believer. If it's too good to be true, it may be too good to be true. Right now, I have gone to like garage sales. I mean, like the duck decoys, right? Like I bought a ton of duck decoys, but I even remember during that duck decoy time, like it was easy for me to legitimize, right? Because it was like a family, it was everything. But what if I just ended up like meeting some guy randomly on the side of the road, right? It's like, okay, I'm not sure this is legitimate, right? Estate sales, pretty legitimate, right? Garage sales, pretty legitimate. But I've had moments. I remember one time I bought all these like cosmetic things. This was like years ago. And then I got home and I'm like, I wonder if these are all stolen because they have multiple quantities of this and they don't really have a store. So why did they have these, right? So be careful, right? Because if things sound too good to be true, they probably are. I'm not saying walk away from deals. Like you can still make deals and you still might be okay, but I'm always a big fan. Like there has to be like somehow you can verify like their location or like there has to be something that ties them to like, for example, garage sales are easy because if you ever buy something and I document it on video, something at a garage sale, I can always go back to that house, right? Nobody's going to like, unless they're a squatter and they have a garage sale at their house, but that's super rare. Right. But if you got people that are like, hey, yeah, I'll sell you 20 pairs of Nikes. Let's meet at this gas station. I don't know, man. I just, that just doesn't sound right to me. Right. But it's like, hey, you can come over to my house and then you have a better story, right? Could it still be stolen? Sure. But at least people aren't going to expose like where they live or where they're at. Do you get what I'm saying? Like there has to be something that ties to that individual.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Those are definitely good points. Another one that's just going to keep you out of trouble is avoid the gray areas, avoid the stuff on eBay or Amazon, whatever platform you're on. Make sure you know it's restricted. I didn't know that CPAP machines couldn't be sold on eBay, and I got a letter, a nicely worded letter telling me your item's been removed. Don't ever do this again. And guess what? I'll never sell on eBay. CPAP machines, right? But you just got to know, like, there's certain things that are like, hey, they don't allow you to sell these things on this platform. I've tried to sell, I say, quote unquote, I don't even want to use the word because YouTube bans this stuff too. Nerf weapons, not even like actual ones, but like basically Nerf? Like a crossbow, or not a crossbow, like a bow and arrow, like archery bow. I thought I could sell an archery bow on Facebook, and you can't, right? At least at the time when I tried to list it, every time I listed it, it got pulled down. Eventually I got a note, a warning, like, hey, you can't sell this because it's considered a W word, right? And I'm like, it's not like it's just like an archery bow, but I guess I understand. Whereas other platforms, no problem at all. You can sell them easy peasy. So you just got to know what's allowed, what's not allowed on each platform. And if it's an area that's restricted, obviously don't sell there. And if it's an area that's like sketchy in the sense, like I think of things that aren't really regulated very much, like nutrition products, right? Like when it's like nutritional supplements, that is a very unregulated market. And so if you're sourcing that kind of stuff, you really got to be careful, because are you going to now be putting yourself in a risk, especially if you don't have, some kind of a reseller's insurance, where you're selling supplements of some type that could get somebody really sick. So just stay away from the gray areas and you'll be okay.
No, agree. Now, you also should be careful picking up high-end items like Chanel or Louis Vuitton, or like stuff that constantly gets counterfeited. Like, I would be careful, right? Because eBay does do its authenticity, and I've had many times, like, and even high-end Nike shoes, right? Like, you don't want to get banned. You just want to be careful, right? And again, the authenticity program is a great thing, right? But be transparent about it. Like, I would say, okay, this is not necessarily banning, but sometimes I've had stuff kicked back in the authenticity program because I didn't highlight that the shoe, like the box was ripped, or I didn't highlight that the shoes were worn in store and there was dirt on the soles. So you got to be transparent about like those high-end items that you send in for authenticity, because they'll kick it back, not because it's fake. You'll never know why, but I'm pretty sure like some of the stuff that got sent back, because I sold it again and I cleaned it up and I sent it through and it was just fine. So make sure, right, that it's all good. And again, I strongly encourage you, like, if you have cards, you have collectibles, if you can grade things, it makes it a lot easier, right? Because then it truly comes authentic, and it allows you to sell things better, right? Now, it has to be worth the price point, right? You don't want to be spending all this money to get things graded and you're only making like $1 or so on each item. So be careful about that. All right, this next one, I put this in here because I was on Reddit, and there's people that were talking about getting banned because their bank account, like information, their demographic, like their name and their address didn't match up with like their ID, or didn't match up who they were. And they kept fumbling around on that one. And then eBay was like, you know what? This looks too suspicious, and just banned them, and they couldn't sell on eBay.
Yeah, no, that kind of stuff happens for sure. Like I've been making a killing recently. I don't do cryptocurrency the way a lot of people do, where they're buying meme coins or, pump and dump, or not. I mean, not like they're the ones actually doing the pumping, but like trying to ride a wave short term. Like, I've just been buying lots of crypto, mostly Bitcoin. I pretty strongly believe in Bitcoin. So I've just been buying it and holding it, and it's been making tons of profit for me. But I have a new device that I use to make sure that I have my own wallet, right? So I have a Trezor, I've got the keys to it. Like, it's all digital. Like, it's completely off of any kind of system, but you still have to purchase the Bitcoin from somewhere. So I was trying to purchase it through one of the servers, one of the platforms that had the best rate at the time. And I was trying to use it through debit card, and the debit card, my bank was putting a hold on it because it didn't understand, like, it didn't trust the purchase. And so I tried a second time, and the bank put another hold on it. So I called the bank and got it cleared up. And then when I tried to place the third order, that company that sells, and they had the best rate and sometimes still do, I've been permanently banned. I can no longer create an account with them. I've been verified with them. They have my ID. Like, I went through the whole process of being verified with them, but my account's been permanently banned because I had an issue with my bank account too many times for their server to say that it's okay. And so, I mean, that kind of stuff can definitely happen, where a company's like, look, you've thrown up some red flags for our system. It's our policy just to say, we don't want your business. Even if you get things worked out, you could be in a bad spot. So make sure you definitely have all that kind of banking information good to go, especially if you're like separating and it's like, hey, well, my business account is under a different name than like my personal. Well, make sure you've got all of that stuff figured out and you actually have the accounts opened, because a site like eBay can certainly ban you if it's like, hey, you've had too many weird bank issues with us.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, be careful with that. All right. Listen, maintaining great metrics helps you out, right? You don't want to get banned for not shipping on time. You don't want to get banned for not uploading tracking on time. You want to get banned for like ignoring people and not messaging. Like, just good customer service will help you out, right? Having great feedback, having great metrics. Like, if you ever get in a scenario where you got randomly banned, like you got zeroed and you didn't even know, or something happens on eBay, having a lot of good practices allows you to have that conversation with eBay, right? Having longevity with eBay helps you out too, right? So you got to be careful. I'm going to skip a little bit here because we kind of said some of these. I want to go on to this next one here. This idea of don't evade a suspension, right? When it's happening, sometimes I've seen it all the time. I mean, we even have a good friend of the podcast that's done this many times. Like, they have like 20 eBay accounts, right? And they get one suspended and they open a new one. Gotta tell you, if eBay ever finds like it's the same IP address, or eBay finds out that you've been creating multiple accounts after you got suspended, you're going to have a permanent removal. Like, you will be forever banned. So if you do get suspended, I strongly encourage you to appeal. I encourage you to do everything to keep it and just hold through that suspension, because if you try to do other things, try to get around it, and eBay finds out, like, you could be permanently done with eBay, and you do not want that to happen. So be aware of that. All right, what do you think is this next one about? Like, keep your conduct in line, watch your conduct in line.
Yeah, I mean, I don't sell on Whatnot, so I don't have to worry about like live stream, like saying something.
But even messages on eBay.
But yeah, for sure, messages on eBay, and then even on YouTube, right? Like, we've been very careful about things we say. I mean, sometimes Orlando and I joke about being shadow banned, talking about certain things. But if you've never posted content on eBay where it could be monetized, you don't realize like the checklist you have to go through, and like the number of things that could potentially cause your stream to be unmonetized or get a strike. It's pretty high. Like, we've gotten quite a few strikes, not strikes, but warnings on things where it's like, hey, we had a clip from a video and like there was a song playing in the background that we don't have rights to. Right. So very much so, like, you could say certain things that could, be offensive. You could say something in a on YouTube for sure, but even on, like you said, eBay, if you comment with somebody and you're being harsh, again, people get very emotional, and so they start defending themselves, and they can get, if a customer is cursing you out and going crazy with you, just smile and be nice back, right? Even if like you have to like close your computer or put your phone down and like punch a pillow because you're so mad and screaming, I don't know, like, do that, but don't respond. Don't let there be any kind of evidence. Like, the philosophy I go through life now is I'm always being recorded. That's just my mindset. Everything I say in front of people, anything I do around people, unless it's just me and my wife and we're in our own home, my assumption is it could potentially be recording this. And so I don't want there to be evidence of me saying something that could be used against me, that could be held up against me. So it's the same thing on a site like eBay. If you're mad at somebody, like, and they're cussing you out and saying, don't do it back, right? Because that's the kind of stuff that can get you in trouble. So yeah, just make sure you're watching yourself, and on any accounts that might be related, right? So like, you might have an eBay store, and like your related eBay store, let's say you have a YouTube channel for it, or you have something else, and you start getting into some pretty offensive stuff on there, like other sites, I mean, people talk about cancel culture and whatever, but like that could happen to you there too, right? Like, eBay could say, you know what, we don't want your brand associated with us. Like, so just if you're selling, you are now basically a public facing entity as an individual. And so you need to treat yourself like that.
All right. And the last year, listen, you get suspended, right? Appeal with documentation, not your emotions. Don't get heated. Don't get angry. In the words of the Godfather, it's just business. And so make sure to respond promptly. Make sure to attach whatever receipts you have, whatever screenshots you have. Let the facts speak for themselves, right? And do it with a smile. Like, I know that sounds crazy, like when your business is getting destroyed, but the older I get, the more I negotiate with people, the more as a school administrator I deal with people. Like, I've gotten a lot further with a smile, with a warm spirit, than I've gotten with being stern and angry and mad. Like, that puts the walls up eventually, right away, and eventually ends up that people don't want to help you anymore. So do what you can. Keep yourself from being suspended by using documentation, right? And this pretty much, that was all the stories that we shared earlier. Like, the main thing that would have helped them all was documentation, right? Except for the show bidding, but the other ones would have been documentation. So what should you get out of all this? Well, getting banned takes a lot, right? It really does take effort, but there are those moments where people, I don't know, where get banned. So make sure you do what you can to not be banned. Just practice best practices in your eBay business, right? Do things right, be people of integrity, and you know what? You should be good. There should be rarely a problem. So, hey, thank you all for tuning in to our podcast today. And as always, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling.
Peace.
From garage sales to thrift store aisles, we hunt for treasure, stacking them in piles. Hustling hard, making deals all day, flipping fine.